No! If you do, you should be ashamed of yourself. This novel took 200 chapters to mock a genre, run out of ideas, and then become that genre. We will get to there. A guy named Dewey sat down in 2019, typed the words infinite mana, and has not stood up from his keyboard since. By the time you finish this video, there's probably another chapter out. My god, there's 5,000. More than that. And I've read a decent portion of it. I prefer to keep my time and my sanity intact, but I've read enough to make this video. So I'm gonna nay-nay on this story, but I want to say that I respect it. The apocalypse come, dungeons open, monsters pour out, humanity awakens, superpowers, blah blah blah. You know, typical tower story. And Noah Osmont is broken average and spends his last dime on buying an F-tier skill, Fireball. Alright? So he awakens, checks his stats, and his mana doesn't have anything. That is this book at its peak. And I'm not being sarcastic. For about 200 chapters, this is exactly as stupid and fun as it sounds. I cannot generate ideas at the speed this man types them. There's 5,000 chapters of this stuff, and there's something new every chapter. He just slaps a little bit of duct tape on there, and it just goes. I'm frankly horrified. It's impressive in the same way that watching a man eat 67 hot dogs is impressive. Like, bro. So, like, here's the plot until it suffers an identity crisis. The world is like a video game. Monsters are there, and you become a hunter. And if you don't go into these dungeons and kill these monsters, the monsters will break out of the dungeons and start killing everybody. The monsters also drop things called cores, which raise your 3 stats, which are focus, vitality, and strength. Cores can also be money. So, the book keeps calling Noah an underdog, but for him to claim underdog status is like watching a billionaire try to run a counterfeit coupon at the dollar store. Sir, you own the store. You own the dollar. His heroic journey is just like a trip to Costco. And he's not a tactician either. Like, if the people marvel throughout the entire book that, oh, he's so smart. He is not smart. He's dumping an infinite amount of a resource into something, and then like everybody's like, oh my god, he committed a war crime. A toddler with infinite mana clears the same dungeons. Actually, probably faster, because a toddler wouldn't monologue in them. Like, he never learned how to manipulate mana properly. Hundreds of chapters in, when they're manipulating fate, he still doesn't know how to manipulate mana. He can just... It's ridiculous. Eventually, he picks up the vampire progenitor bloodline, and he becomes handsome. And the story treats it like a stat upgrade. And like, he starts accumulating women the same way he's accumulating those skill points, passively without doing anything. Bro, the rank is like a staircase, right, of escalating adjectives. It starts off with F through S, then epic, legendary, mythical, phantasmal, transcendent, saint, void, soul, and every single rung of that is the authors being like, you know what, let's do it again. I mean, for a few hundred chapters, it works. I like the numbers going up. The spectacle goes up. Your higher brain functions go down. It's like a slot machine. You don't stop winning, bro. I'm not above the slot machine. I pulled it many times. If your character's defining trait is infinite, you delete the tension from your book. Like, a fight is only interesting when something can happen to the main character. Noah can't have anything happen to them. Every fight is like, oh, is he gonna have more? He always has more. He has infinite mana. There is exactly one move when you're in a story like that, which is when you start inflating the universe instead of your hero. You build a bigger container for the infinity to fill. So like, it starts off as a dungeon, then a kingdom, then a world, then a galaxy, then a universe. And we're at multiple macrocosms at this point, which are outside of like definable infinities at where I am. And that's like halfway through what is currently put on the paper. I mean, the author's job with web novel, because web novel is a predatory organization, but that's neither here nor there. It's just, he has to keep growing that denominator so that it's never a one-on-one fight. And while the story does this, it kind of tried to like push an attitude at the beginning. Early on, it's just a system novel. There were stat screens, skill trees. It was like pretentious. And then there's cultivation. For anyone who hasn't fallen down that rabbit hole, cultivation is where like Chinese meditators become like wizards and get a bunch of powers. I might make a video sometime on what that is. I also have the Marshall Peak retrospective series I'm starting out. You should check that out. Yeah, around chapter 200, that Noah leaves the apocalyptic Earth and steps into what comes after it, because he can't just end the novel. Which, there are a couple of them, but we're skipping to the Magus world. Magus world, I don't care. It's the cultivation world, right? There's sex, DAOs, laws, origins. So, it's doing the exact stuff that in the world prior, which was like Atlantis, it was like too cool to sit on. It kills a cultivator, takes a crystal of water, and starts comprehending the laws without knowing anything. And he does it effortless, because that's the only way this story goes. The story doesn't even keep his two systems apart. Transcendent rank becomes transcendent realm. Void rank becomes void firmament realm. It spent the latter half of the 200 chapters dunking on cultivation and cultivators, and then it puts on the robe and starts doing the exact same tropes with a straight face. It's like a hardcore punk vocalist screaming for an hour, tearing through Taylor Swift, and then dropping the mic to lip sync with backup dancers. In the higher realm, those numbers stop being numbers. At like the domain realm, his strength says domain. His vitality says domain. And like obviously his focus has a hyphen. But what was the point of the system if you're just gonna pivot off of it? Oh brother, you stink. You stink of poo. This is the exit ramp of the story. If you leave at like the Star Forging realm, you're chilling. That's where the story stops being a story and becomes like a spreadsheet, and it just like goes off of vibes alone. And those vibes only get worse. The realms keep going, the names start going, like nebula, black hole, quasar, galactic, filament, universal, hyperversal, ionic, quintessential, extremity, foundation. A Dewey probably looked at a thesaurus and was like, oh, that's big, and stabbed it onto his page. The numbers stop meaning anything. So the words have to carry that weight, and there are not enough words. So it seems like he invented more, and that's the back half of the novel. So, should you read Infinite Mana in the Apocalypse? I mean, I can't stop you. This video is for one specific person. If you want your brain to power down at 1 a.m. while the problems just solve themselves and you don't have to think, you should start it now. It's junk. Like, it's glorious junk, but it never says that it's not. If you want characters, this is not it. Noah is like a personality-shaped placeholder. He has the density of a piece of cardboard. Better yet, he is like a planet, and all of the side characters are just debris that goes around him. Nobody grows, because if you grow, there needs to be limits. This book is allergic to limits. If you want tension, also not it. You will never fear for this man. Eventually, he even gets the abilities of a regressor. He can come back to life. The only thing that is endangered in this universe is probably the author's freaking fingers from typing all the time. And if you want a power system, no. This is a seance. He's literally just throwing stuff at the wall. I thought this was generated by ChatGPT when I was in like the maybe 1,000 chapter range, but there is no way ChatGPT could come up with this stuff. It gets to a point. That point was probably at chapter 400. I cannot fully recommend this book. I can't condone it because I've read it. I am part of the system that I am trying to break down. I can't say anything about that. Read the first arc. Try to stop at like the Star Realm. You won't stop. I guarantee you, if you get that far, you're in it for life. And then it's just like, you know what? I'm ending the video. Bye.